Donald Trump continues to push for a takeover of Greenland. It is a self-governing territory of Denmark, in case you didn't know. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has plans to be meeting with Danish officials in Greenland next week. Now, the Trump administration keeps saying they are actively talking about a potential offer to buy Greenland, okay? And they are so far still refusing to rule out the use of military force on the ground there. Now, on Tuesday, Canada's our foreign affairs minister, Anita Anand, she actually posted on X that she plans to be traveling to Greenland in the coming weeks. Why? We're going to be officially opening our first consulate in Greenland. Little plot twist there. Supriya, this is so much your world. The question I want to throw at you, and it's a small question. How concerned should we as Canadians be about all this wildness that's going on in Greenland and how it may or may not affect our own sovereignty as a country?
Yeah, look, it's a great question. I think it's important not to panic. I think if you're looking at this from what's been transpiring since Venezuela, I don't think, we're at risk of tanks rolling through the border or at risk of Mark Carney getting captured in the middle of the night or anything like that, right? Okay. But I think we should absolutely be concerned, and we don't have to parse a lot of what Trump has been saying. There's nothing to read between the lines here. He's saying the thing of what he's going to do, so we should listen to him. In his inaugural speech, which was about a year ago at this point, he talked about territorial expansion. He's openly saying and musing about using military force in Greenland. When he talks about needing Greenland for a security purpose, I mean, quite frankly, that's kind of baloney because, Greenland is, as you already mentioned in the opening, it's a sovereign country, but it's managed by Denmark. Denmark is a part of NATO, right? If they wanted more troops up in Greenland, they could do that very easily. They just gotta ask. But apparently he doesn't want to ask. He doesn't want to do it the friendly or diplomatic way. So now he's going about it the strongman way.
So do you think that there's an ulterior motive? Because what I understand about Greenland is it is the least populous, it's most sparsely populated territory in the entire world. That it is almost 80% or maybe 80% made up of ice. But there are really, really important minerals under that ice. So do you think that there's any, the reason why he actually wants it is not just so he can protect it, or as a military kind of operation, but that he actually wants to mine there.
For resource extraction.
For resource extraction.
Yeah, that's entirely possible. He's mentioned our own resources and our own minerals, like Canadian minerals and resources that he wants. So I think that's part of it. But in terms of what the administration is currently saying, what they seem to be really honing in on is that security aspect and the need to have an increased American presence in Greenland because of the alleged incursion of Russian and Chinese vessels in and around those waters.
Got it.
But of course, if that was actually the case and they were really worried about it, would Trump be welcoming Putin in Alaska, and would they have actually decreased their military presence in Greenland, which is what's happened over the last little bit?
That's a great thing to think about. I was wondering about, just 2 weeks ago, he invaded Venezuela, he has Maduro's in jail in New York, and now, just a few days later, now actually days into doing that, he was talking about invading Greenland. What is it with this back-to-back? It seems like there's a rush for him to do all of these things. Do you know why he's like, okay, we got Venezuela. Before you even figure out what you're doing in Venezuela, we know you're taking the oil, but what you're gonna do with the people, you're already talking about Greenland. Why does there seem to be a rush for him to be taking over all of these territories?
Girl, are you asking me to get in his mind?
Yeah, I don't know. I think we're all hungry just to figure out what is happening and why are you doing this?
Shock and awe?
I think it's part shock and awe. Maybe it's a little bit of ADD. Maybe he's just chasing the next shiny thing, right? Dude likes headlines. Dude likes to be in the, so it's like Venezuela, headlines everywhere. They're watching it like
Greenland.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, don't stop, keep going,
flood the zone.
Be closing.
We know, as you pointed to, there is no more not taking him seriously.
Yeah.
So we were talking about Project 2025 earlier this week. We talked about the Monroe Doctrine of 1823 and 200 years later. He has now called it the Dondro doctrine, which, and then he posted this, or at least the State Department posted this on X and on Truth Social, where he basically he's not whispering it anymore. This is what the American government posted. This is our red caps hemisphere. Who is he talking to there? One can presume, if you read the Monroe Doctrine, he is talking to everybody, Europe included, but especially to Russia and to China. To your question about the rush, there are midterm elections coming in November 2026, which feels like a lifetime away. And some people are maybe saying if they happen. Okay, that's a fair question, right? Democracy itself is falling.
But we were just talking.
I'm listening.
If I bring it back to Canada, you're right. I'm not worried that there are going to be tanks rolling into Ottawa, but I am worried that there is a different kind of warfare.
Yeah.
This July, CUSMA, which is our free trade agreement with the United States and Mexico, is ending. It has to be renegotiated. What if the warfare is that Trump simply says, we're not negotiating. Here is how we're doing trade with you, period. Whatever, there's a tariff, maybe not. We're going to open up dairy. We're going to do all the things that you don't want to do. And by the way, you need to stop hanging out with Macron, with the NATO guys. Carney is going to China next week. What if Trump actually says, I'm not going to roll in with a tank, but you need to do exactly what we say and stop talking to the people that we have deemed our enemies, or else?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's entirely possible, and in fact probable that there's likely going to be a movement towards that direction. And if you look at not only what Prime Minister Carney has said, but previously Prime Minister Trudeau has said this as well, that Trump wants to dominate us economically. He's been open about this. He's trying to get us to submit through economic coercion by squeezing us with tariffs. And the other thing with the CUSMA renegotiations, as we've seen with Trump, his word and his signature means very little, right? We're getting hit with tariffs right now that we shouldn't technically be getting hit with. So even if we do come to another agreement, what good is that if he's just going to rip it up and do his own Donnie T thing anyway?
Yeah, it's true.
I like the Donnie T thing. Well. I also apologize for making you get into Donald Trump's head. I was just trying to figure out what's going on. My apologies, it's too much. All right. So